What's up guys, Sean here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys my sharpening results of this XM18 3.5 inch non-flipper full edge Spearpoint. This is a knife that was in for sharpening from a customer named Bob, and let's just say this one gave me a hard time when it came to getting it sharp. Now this came into me, Bob actually does some sharpening himself, but he had gotten the profile a little bit uneven, so he sent it to me to get the profile evened out, straightened out. And I actually sharpened this knife 3 times, not because I had difficulty getting the profile straightened out, but because I could not get it to my satisfactory level of sharpness. So the first time around, I did my go-to progression, which is finishing with the F400 Veneve diamond stone. And then I went on to strop with, I believe I did the kangaroo leather and the basswood with gunny juice. And that, it gave me a really nice looking edge, but it just wasn't very sharp. I think might have been like 140 grams on the best tester, which is, you know, light years sharper than the Hinderers are from the factory, but it's not really sharp compared to what is actually satisfactory to me. So I went ahead and sharpened it again, and I just cut myself. I went ahead and sharpened it again, and I believe the second time around I finished with the F400. I had dropped it down about 1 degree, and I stropped it a little bit less, got it a little bit sharper, still wasn't completely satisfied. And let me just tell you, this knife, this blade steel, does not like to deburr very easily. That's really where you lose most of your sharpness, is essentially trying to get this edge burr free. It's extremely difficult to do with the stones. You'll still be left with a micro burr by the time you go to the strops. And then in order to remove that last bit, you have to, you know, make so many passes on the strop. By the time you get rid of that burr, you've essentially rounded that apex, and it's just kind of slicked away all your bite. So, I mean, it's still a fine apex, but at a microscopic level, it would be rounded off and just kills your performance as far as cutting goes, and edge retention, all that. So I decided to give it one last try, and I finished with the F240 stone, and then I proceeded to strop on basswood only. I did not use the kangaroo leather, and I did a 631 micron progression, and it is now finally sharp enough that I can be happy with it and proud of my work as far as my sharpening goes. So this edge came in at 74, I believe 74 grams, which is higher than I typically like. It's higher than pretty much all the most recent knives that I've sharpened. I think the highest out of the last like 10 knives or 15, 20 knives that I sharpened was a 57 gram best. So I really don't like going above, 60. I like getting 50 and under, but kind of limited by what you have to work with. And because Hinderer Knives does not like to heat treat their M390 to a optimal hardness, which would, in my opinion, be, 62 and higher, it makes it difficult to get a very, very sharp edge. And this is just my personal experience, so don't shoot the messenger. But, I love the design of Hinderer knives. I love the aesthetics. I love the build quality. When I got my first Hinderer, I was obsessed. I immediately after bought 2 more. And the first one was the most expensive knife I had ever bought at that time. And I made tons of videos reviewing them, doing all kinds of videos, ranting and raving about how amazing these knives were. And they only have one, well, there's 2 downfalls, okay? Well, 3 actually, but 2 actually regarding the knife. One is the thick blade geometry. Not only do you have a stout blade, but it carries a lot of that thickness down behind the edge, so it does not, it's not very good geometry for cutting. It doesn't allow you to pass through materials very easily. And then to top it off, they do not believe in, harder heat treats. Their theory is that it hurts the toughness and it makes it more difficult to sharpen in the field, which I completely disagree with, because if doing a softer heat treat, I'm not calling it soft, okay, 59 to 61 HRC, whatever his range is, it's not soft. It's still steel, it's still hard, but for the specific blade steel, as far as M390, 20 CV, and steels in that family, such as CTS 204P is also one, it's just not a optimal hardness for those specific steels. And it actually makes them difficult to sharpen, not because of the abrasive required to, remove the steel, but because of the deburring process. It's very difficult to get a nice fine apex to stay together and stay fine with M390 or 20 CV at this Rockwell. If it was just a couple degrees higher, a degree or 2 higher, it would make a huge difference. And it would really make getting a nice sharp edge on these a whole lot easier. And I don't think that anyone from Hinderer really has a good argument to that, because if it was so easy to sharpen, or if that was a legitimate reason behind it, then they would be able to get knives out of the ranch, out of their factory, with edges sharper than a 400 gram best test. But, I've never experienced one. I know everybody I know has never experienced one. Everybody says the same thing. They really love the knives, but, they do not come with a sharp edge. You'll be lucky if you can cut, regular computer paper. Chances are you can't. And, You know, they're simply, it's not even sharp enough to where I believe it's even functional. So that's pretty bad. And I'm sure there's been plenty of people who have contacted them, and I'm sure they, you know, keep up with what people are saying online, obviously. We know that already. It's no surprise to them. It's not like it's their first time hearing it. And I'd be surprised if they didn't try to do anything to address it, whether they admit it or not. But, you know, say that Rick just says, fuck you, just like he does with everything else, apparently. Even then, you know, if he wants to stick with his own ways, his own strategies, his own methods, you know, okay, so be it. But, you know, he can't get them sharp at the factory with a belt. And I've sharpened probably at least, you know, 24 XM18s, this being probably the sharpest edge out of any of them, including my personal XM18s, because they are very difficult to get a really good edge on. And, you know, it's just, I recently watched a video from Neve's Knives, from Jared, doing a little rant, Dear USA Knife Makers rant. And then he mentioned All Things Knives did a follow-up video, and Erica from Not Your Average EDC, she also did one. And they all kind of mentioned some different things. They all have, you know, different areas that they are really concerned with or passionate about. But, you know, they all make good points, and I think everything that they all said comes from a place of love. And I agree with a lot of, well, specifically what Jared and All Things Knives said. However, I don't really personally, I'm not really into the entry-level knives anymore. And it's not that I don't think they're important. I think it is extremely important to have, you know, cool, high-performing, affordable entry-level knives to get people into the hobby and make people, give them an incentive to look further into what the companies have to offer. And, you know, being born and raised in the United States, living here my whole life, I care about, you know, the legacy of USA knife makers and manufacturers. So it's in my interest, in my heart, I want to see them dominate the industry and succeed. But, you know, I believe there truly is quite a bit of shortcomings and a lot of companies dropping the ball. Another reason that I don't really go into any rants on USA companies is because, fortunately for me, my favorite knife company is SPYDERCO. And they do amazing heat treats. They are constantly giving us knives in new blade steels. They offer almost any of your favorite SPYDERCO models. They have done in just about any blade steel you could ask for. So they have one that's absolutely perfect for every single person out there, no matter what your intended uses are, no matter what environment you live in or work in. They have something perfect just for you. And their knives are designed with performance in mind. Great ergonomics. They are light enough that they carry well. They have good blade geometry. They come with sharp edges from the factory. They come ready to cut out of box, ready to perform. They're built around performance, and they actually are involved in the knife community and care about our input. So that's why I have so much love and respect for SPYDERCO. That's why some of these things aren't really issues that I encounter regularly, but you know, this is one of them that I encounter pretty regularly, and it's very frustrating because I don't charge a customer 3 times to sharpen their knife. I charge them once, and you know, me being me, I'm not going to send it back until it's right. So whether it takes me an hour or 2 or 20, I'm still going to get paid the same thing. Now, I will disclose that this customer graciously blessed me and compensated me very well for my time and efforts, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I can't even express with words how much that means to me. But, you know, that whether he had done that or not, I still would have put the same amount of effort and care into this because, you know, it's something that I'm passionate about, and I care about satisfying my customers. You know, it's not like a side hustle to me. This is something I strive to exceed people's expectations. So, you know, every knife I do, I want it to be the best edge, the best cutting knife, you know, best everything that person has ever experienced, and, you know, better than they even thought was possible. You know, I'm not aiming just for satisfactory. I aim for exceeding expectations. And that's why it's important to me to get things right. And that's why I take the extra time. It's not because I have to. It's because, you know, I just genuinely care. And, you know, it would be nice if some of these companies had a little bit better PR, you know, better public relations, and actually, you know, got in tune with what the community was asking for, because, you know, they take these things as criticisms and as like a threat to their sales and everything, and it's just complete bullshit, because people are going to buy these knives no matter what. You know, I haven't sold my XM18s, and the way that Rick responded to transparent knives, Brian, it absolutely disgusted me. And I think, you know, that kind of behavior, that's something to be embarrassed for. But, you know, I don't hold hate in my heart for anyone. I don't hold grudges. You know, it's not compatible with my belief system. So, you know, I hold no ill will towards Hinderer knives. And a lot of people who have posted things questioning or pointing out things, you know, maybe, you know, they could have sugar-coated things a little bit more or whatever, but, you know, we're pointing out things that we think could improve these knives because they're knives that we love. They are knives that we want to see evolve to their full potential. And these things come from a place of love, you know. Most people, I mean, of course, there's trolls out there and people that will complain about anything and nothing. But when it comes to people that actually, you know, have the experience and insight and background and credentials to actually, you know, back up their opinions and their experiences and, you know, what the results from their analysis. Those things, that's like gold. Constructive criticism from valuable, intelligent source, you know, credible information, that is invaluable. Like, there, you can't put a price on that. That is worth more than anything. So, you know, if anything, Hinderer should really be reaching out to these people and thanking them and, you know, hey, thanks for the heads up. We're going to get on that. We want to make our product as good as we can for you guys because you guys are the ones that keep our operation going. You know, you guys are the ones that put food on my table. So I care about, you know, what you guys are experiencing with my products. You know, any sane human would think that that's how somebody would go about it, but for some reason, that's just not the case. So for that reason, it really puts, you know, a bad taste in people's mouth. It shines a negative light and really hinders, no pun intended, it hinders the, you know, the pride in owning something like this. You know, you pay a lot of money for these. This is not a cheap knife. And, you know, you want to be proud to carry this knife. You're proud because it's made in the USA. You paid the extra money for it because it's made in the USA. And you're fine with that. But you expect it to come with that USA made quality. And unfortunately, because of things like this, USA made quality does not mean the same thing that it once did. And I really hope that, you know, tide turns, but I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of hope for it, but, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. So, anyways, this is actually the first Hinderer knife that I was able to get sharp enough to whittle hair. See if I can get a little demonstration.
C5.
Yeah, the real wide ones in the back. I had a passed away in the family double undoing with it because of a relative wants to drive it.
All right, buddy. See it.
And want to know all about it. Now somebody around here has done some work on it. I didn't know that, but he didn't really mess it up too bad.
What kind of work did you do when you worked?
When I worked, I did, was manager for the county water